Hello, everybody, and welcome to the next episode of Bisportuals, your new favorite sports podcast. I'm your host, Ryan.
I'm Cameron.
And I'm Kyle.
Thank you all for joining us this week. We hope you had a wonderful week. The Sweet 16 and Elite 8 of March Madness are officially done, and my bracket is officially busted. Rest in peace, the Michigan State Spartans. I just dropped something immediately, maybe 40 seconds into this recording. We're on a great start, guys.
Oh, yeah, let's fucking get it.
Still
you can tell
start.
that we've been doing this for 3 months.
Still a better start than Tennessee. But, God, how do you go? Did you see that? Like 0 for 11 from 3 in the first half for Tennessee.
They're playing like me.
Yeah.
No, they're playing like me. I'm worse. Cameron and I 1v1 once in college, and he beat me. It was like 4-0 because we just couldn't get any more after that.
No, I got to 11. I think you got like 2. I'll give you 2 in retrospect.
I don't think I scored.
Okay,
well, I did not score.
We can agree I won.
Yeah, I was not good, and you whooped me. It was not clean on my end.
Well, now that the weather is kind of clearing up, I have gone at least once to the local park and shot around the basketball.
Yeah.
Shot around the basketball.
I thought you were going to call it a pigskin, and it's like, bro, it's a basketball.
I may be stupid, but I'm not dumb. I know. Pigskins for the field, not the court. Silly.
Yeah. Not bad.
But let's go ahead. Let's talk about the NBA specifically. We've got a couple of fun ones lined up today. We got a fun topic. We're going to talk about some quite recent news and events as of the time of recording. But first, we got to entertain the masses. It's time for an NBA blind ranking. We've got some great categories here. Yep, I'm actually the entire time for the next 30 minutes. I'm actually going to have you cover your eyes like this is a what was it?
Okay, I can
box?
do that. I don't have notes.
Heads up, 7-Up.
God, am I the only one who didn't like that game?
I thought
What
it was
is wrong
fun when
with you?
people didn't cheat.
No, I cheated the entire time.
Oh yeah,
and that's what made
me
it fun.
Too, but I don't like when other people cheated.
But I never got picked. I think it was because of I didn't realize it until I hit high school, but my thumbs ups were never like this. I have hitchhiker's thumbs, so all my thumbs up are like this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and I think people just thought
it looks half down.
Thought that it was already down.
Yeah, I thought that it was already down, but it was still up. So I just never got. I never got
very
picked.
Interesting discussion, guys.
I mean, it's important.
Hey,
lore.
The people deserve to know. Let's go ahead. Blind rankings. I'm going to give my two wonderful co-hosts here. I'm going to give them 5 instances of something in a category. They have to rank them without knowing what the next instance is. We've done them before on the show. You know them. You love them.
Shout out the Valentine's Day edition.
Shout out the Valentine's Day. We did get some feedback on those Valentine's Day blind rankings that candles specifically were disrespected.
I thought we put them at 1.
We did.
Candles were over-respected because they're not uniquely Valentine's Day.
Yeah, but they're awesome.
Especially on Valentine's Day. Even though it's not specific to Valentine's Day, when it's on Valentine's Day, it's great.
I'm sorry, Kyle's dad, you're wrong.
It wasn't my dad. It was Ryan's
dad. It was my dad.
Oh.
My dad.
Come on, Craig.
What a dox. But let's go ahead. The first blind ranking we've got here, this is a classic. One of the most exciting things, unless it's your team, in the NBA playoffs. These are NBA playoff choke jobs.
Ooh.
Reggie Miller hit the classic. These are all playoff editions where the favored team at any point in the series just absolutely blew it. Most of these are in later rounds. It's kind of tough to choke in the first round of the playoffs because it's the first round of the playoffs.
Unless you're Doc Rivers and you're up 3-1.
Unless you're Doc Rivers and you're up 3-1. But these are all playoff choke jobs. Most of them disgustingly so. So let's go ahead. Let's hop in. First up, your first choke job. The 2017-18 Toronto Raptors. This team...
You mean the Toronto Raptors?
This team was the significantly higher seed and got 4-0, get the broom swept by LeBron James. Where are we feeling? 1 to 5. We got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kyle, I think we can agree what number 1 is, and it's probably going to be on this list.
It better be on this list, and if it's not on this list, I might actually walk off the stage here.
I don't know, because the Raptors, they did have DeMar and Kyle Lowry. They were a good regular season team, but they weren't expected to beat LeBron, at least when coming out of the East.
And like for this year, like I felt like the Cavs were always playing the Raptors in the playoffs, like during that stretch of time where the Cavs were always going to the finals. So I feel like just this one specific instance, obviously it was the full sweep and not like, it might have been 4-2 for a couple of the series. I don't remember it all the way back there, but I think just in general, it's not as impactful as maybe some of these other chokes that we're going to see. So I hate to do it.
I'm kind of feeling 4 because it was a 4-0 sweep.
Yeah, I was thinking 4.
Okay.
There is the disrespect angle of getting truly not even gentlemen's, just like not even a game.
Just absolutely swept.
Yeah, let's throw it at 4.
All right, throwing the Raptors at 4. Strong start. I'm liking it. Next up, we have the 2010-2011 Miami Heat.
Ooh, this one is elite.
2-1 lead blown to Dirk Nowitzki and the Dallas Mavericks in the finals.
I would be comfortable putting this at 2.
I think so. I'm trying to think through some of these other like high profile chokes, and not many are coming to mind other than the one that is clearly going to be at 1.
Ryan,
So,
if you just didn't include it to fuck with us, that would actually kind of be funny.
it's probably what he did. We know him. We know him from the Valentine's Day one.
What? Me pulling little tricksies?
No,
I'd never.
That would just be.
Let's throw it at 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's hang at 2.
Cool.
Solid. This one, I'm not gonna lie, this one might be my favorite right here. We have got the 2017-18 Houston Rockets missing 27 straight 3-pointers in a game. That was game 7, right?
Yes.
Or was that game 6?
It was game 7.
But they blew game 6 and game 7 to lose that series.
After being like the best 3-point shooting team ever.
That was peak
just
Harden.
ever, period.
The Warriors, yeah.
Yeah, wasn't that Harden's MVP year?
I believe so.
I don't recall.
Yeah.
I don't recall what year Harden
I'd have
won
to look.
MVP.
He won MVP in 18.
Then yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah, I'm feeling a 3.
I'm feeling a 3. Especially since they missed so many of them, we kind of have to put them there.
Yeah.
27 straight.
A little bit of spite.
Yeah.
Truly. At one point,
Brian's
they're
putting
just
the ball
hoping.
in the tee here.
They're hoping. Both the Rockets were hoping it goes in, and you two are hoping that a certain choke job is on this list. Second to last, we have a little bit of a throwback. Not that much of a throwback, but we've got the 1999-2000 Portland Trailblazers, who, in case you're unaware, blew a 96.1% win probability in Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals. Got outscored 34-14 in the last 12 minutes.
Was that to the Lakers? Or am I stupid?
Yes, it was to the Lakers.
Okay, cool. That's right.
Because this was in the middle of this was their run.
Give me a light to decent 5 here.
I was gonna say a strong 5. Just show some respect to some of the older
on that Blazers
crowd.
Team? Was that the Brandon Roy era?
Was that Aldridge?
No,
I believe
that
was
Sorry.
I think Clark Drexler already left at this point.
Let me double check. 19. Yes. So they went 59-23. Mike Dunleavy as their head coach. This was the Scottie Pippen, Arvydas Sabonis, Rasheed Wallace, Greg Anthony.
Still absolutely no Shaq and Kobe.
Fair point.
True.
They did have an O'Neal on that team. His name was Jermaine, but
Oh yeah, but he was also a little baby then, I believe.
I believe he was. I believe he was a little baby.
Just a little bit.
All right,
Ryan.
so you're throwing that at 5?
Yeah.
Yes.
That leaves the one
as long
spot
as
open.
you don't stab us in the heart.
The last choke job we have, it's the 2015-16 Warriors.
Yes.
3-1 lead to
You didn't
LeBron.
bullshit us.
I wanted.
You did want us to die.
I tried to double fake you.
You
I tried to double fake
You
you
could have
out.
picked the Clippers losing to the Nuggets after going up 3-1 in the 2020 playoffs.
I could have
It would've
picked
been another
any
3-1.
Doc Rivers coached team.
Yeah, but I'm glad you
Yeah.
didn't. So okay, good list.
Yeah, I think this is
That was
the
an
best
easy
this
one.
list could have turned out.
Yeah.
For sure.
Absolutely.
That's great. I was hoping that starting out with the Raptors sweep, you might put that a little too high, and then you wouldn't have space for like the Rockets or the Heat.
I
up
know
there.
I know my lore a little bit.
He knows ball. He knows ball history.
You could say that.
One could say that. Let's go ahead. Let's go on to our next blind ranking here. This one's away from teams, away from moments. We're going into players, but not for their play on the court necessarily. You know, sometimes players just have intangibles. They have the heart. They got the spirit. Sometimes they just can't control that heart and spirit on the court, and they start fighting motherfuckers. Sometimes you just got to let a motherfucker know, and these guys were great at letting motherfuckers know. This is the NBA Enforcers blind ranking.
Nasreed at 1.
Jaden McDaniels
Dante
at
at
2.
1. I feel like Dante was way more. We'll get there.
Yeah.
We'll get there. But folks,
They can
this
say
is
number 1. Communist.
this is an
Wolves.
all-time list here. So we're gonna start off. Your first name for the NBA Enforcers blind ranking is the one, the only, Bill Laimbeer. Bill Laimbeer of the Bad Boy Pistons.
He's gotta be up there. He's
Yeah.
he's one of the all-time greats.
In this category.
In this category, do we want to quickly
In general.
like power rank a top 3? I think
I mean, we
Draymond's
can.
got to be up there. I think Ron Artest has to be up there.
Yeah.
Meta
I'm
World
going to be
Peace.
honest with you. If Draymond Green is on this list, I want to put him at 5 because I fucking hate that guy. I respect his talent in this category, but I do not respect him.
Okay, well,
at
I'm gonna
all.
disagree with you on that one. And then, I would maybe put Bill Laimbeer at 3 behind those two. Maybe I think Ron Artest would probably be my number 1.
Yeah. I mean, I'm cool with putting him at 3.
All right,
I think
let's
that's
do it. Bill Laimbeer at
Yeah.
3.
All right, Bill Laimbeer at 3. The old
Even
heads
though he
are
could not shoot threes.
the old heads, if they're even watching, are gonna be in the comments on this one. Bill Laimbeer at 3 on an enforcers list, but we don't know what's up next. Number 2, you just talked about him. It's Ron Artest.
I am
Yeah.
comfortable putting him at number 1. He
Number
has
one.
the most iconic NBA enforcer moment,
Yeah.
as well as a history of other smaller moments.
A
True.
lot of other smaller moments.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
one
And
else.
then he changed his name to World Peace.
Meta World Peace.
Because
True.
someone had
Nobody
to.
was as responsible for the malice at the palace as Ron Artest was.
Yeah.
It was
I don't think
definitely
there's
not-
any other choice.
Yeah.
I mean, there were other people involved for sure, but
Well, yeah,
and
Ron
and
Artest is the
fan
one
that
who
threw
ran
the
into the-
shit at him.
who threw the cup for sure.
But still, you're an adult.
Yeah.
Or you're an enforcer.
All right, so we're throwing Ron at 1.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 3, I just went 3 for 3 on your guys' top 3 here, I guess. Draymond Green.
5. 5. 5. Please. Please, it would be so funny. 5.
I'll
I hate that
compromise
guy.
with you and put him at 4. I would like to
Yes.
have him at 2, though.
Yes.
But I guess I'll compromise with you.
Yeah, I
Alright.
hate that guy. I fucking hate
He
him.
punched Jordan Poole for calling him a backpack. That's enforcer
did.
shit.
It's funny.
He
but
beat
you don't.
he beat the shit out of Yusuf Nurkic on the court.
Yeah. He choked Rudy Gobert.
Yeah.
Dude, it's not cool. You can't do that to Rudy Gobert and not go unpunished in this top 5 blind breaking.
You can do that to Rudy Gobert.
That's the whole point of what people are doing on this.
Yeah, that's the only reason that they even attempt to enforce is because they want to get on the Bisportuals top 5 blind ranking for enforcers.
Yeah,
True. Is this enable? Are we enabling it? Are we enabling his behavior?
Yeah. That's why I want to put him at 4 because then it won't enable him. We're not platforming him.
Fine.
All right. So Draymond falls to 4. Next up, we've got Dennis Rodman.
Ooh.
That's a solid one.
A classic.
He puts
Especially for
on
the Bulls.
dresses and he fights people, and I think that's cool as hell. Dennis Rodman is one of my favorite players of all time. I'm not sure who Ryan has cooking for the last spot, whether
one.
that be Kevin Garnett, whether that be Ben Wallace, whether that be even Reggie Miller was a little bit. I think I would still maybe.
I would put him at 2.
Yeah,
you want to put him at 2? Because I'd put him at 2. I think we put him at 2.
Right.
Cool.
All right, Rodman at 2. Again, this one, possibly my favorite, and the progenitor of one of the most famous phrases in all of basketball, in all of sport, really.
On your head.
No, last up we have
Green.
Rasheed Wallace. Rasheed Wallace.
I'm gonna be
the originator of Ball Don't Lie.
That's a good phrase.
Damn. I say that so much.
Green is also a pretty good one.
Rasheed Wallace supposedly learned it from street talk in his hometown of Philadelphia. Consistently got teched up for it, including getting teched up for looking at the ref weird.
Yeah, that's right.
He was
got teched for smiling at the ref.
He got.
Yep.
Who is it that got teched for sitting in? It was Giannis. Giannis got teched for sitting in the front row.
Yeah.
After a foul. But if you've seen the clip of Rasheed Wallace getting teched for staring at a dude, it's so good because the ref just goes, "Whack, you're out," and just tosses him because it was his second tech. He got ejected for it.
Yeah, I'm so gonna be honest. I'm cool with having him at 5 because I don't care about him as much as I do the other players when it comes to enforcing.
Yeah, I mean that's a respectable take. I think I was just gonna play it as we didn't have any other space higher on the list. So I love this list. Yeah, this list turned out well.
We did better than the last time for sure.
Than the last time for sure. I would agree. It pains my heart to see Sheed Wallace so low. As a huge Sheed Wallace fan, consistently I use Ball Don't Lie, and I need to pay respect to my elders who created that phrase. But it's hard to put him above guys like Lambier and Meta World Peace. It's hard to do for sure. You know who's not really an enforcer though? No matter how much he tries to put on the aura of being an enforcer, that would be Isaiah Stewart and the bad boy Detroit Pistons, which this Sunday, the day before we are recording this podcast, Sunday, March 30th, the Pistons trotted on into Target Center and were doing pretty well before they tried to start some shit because they are the Pistons and they're incapable of just playing basketball. And then after starting some shit and people getting ejected, they got belt to ass. They got outscored by approximately 35 points for the rest of the game.
Beasley just disappeared and then afterwards tweeted, "We the bad boys."
We the bad boys.
After
deleted it.
Because he did
nothing. No, that one's
fight.
still up. Another tweet where Malik Beasley was flaming Wolves fans on Twitter because they didn't have their full team, even though Minnesota lost their best 3-point shooter and their backup center.
No, but Cade was out.
Yeah, Cade was out.
Yeah, Cade was out, but I mean, Isaiah Stewart's a great rim protector. I think Stewart.
He's a pretty good rim protector.
Ron Harper, Ron Harper Jr. and one other guy.
Holland.
Ron Holland.
Holland.
And head coach
Sasser.
JB Bickerstaff.
And the GOAT, Pablo Prigioni, as well.
Shout out Pablo.
The Italian stallion.
All of those players and coaches were ejaculated from the game. And
yes. That was on the official broadcast from FanDuel Sports Network.
But, we've seen fights in the NBA before. The Wolves are no strangers to getting into it and scrapping with teams. I mean, we all remember we talked about it, what Draymond Green did to Rudy Gobert, who was just trying to play peacemaker as Jaden McDaniels and Klay Thompson were beefing it out.
Well, yeah, but fuck Klay Thompson till I die.
Yeah, true.
We hate what he did in 2017. Unforgivable.
Yeah,
unforgivable.
Played for the Warriors.
Yes. A sin.
If you know, you
know. But whenever these fights tend to happen on the court, NBA Twitter blows up. You can start getting ESPN alerts. Do you like seeing this kind of energy, this kind of physical nature from the teams? And I'll start with Cameron. I want to ask, do you like seeing this kind of energy? And do you think it's good for the game? Do you think it's good for the league?
As someone who cares about people and players and wants to see everyone succeed and be the best that they can, no, I don't think it's great. As someone who loves watching other people's drama from the outside, I love it. Yeah, keep it up. Fun to watch. Did they give out any suspensions? I didn't.
Not yet. No.
Today.
As of recording, no suspensions have been handed out, but it looks like they're probably going to be coming down from the NBA.
Yeah. No, I don't think it's good for the game. Nobody really benefits from it other than social media pages. But I don't know. I don't really think it's a thing. I don't like that about hockey, how they have that built in. It's like, just grow up. It happens way too often. I think the fact that it is more rare in the NBA makes it more exciting. Because most of the time they're more mature than hockey players. And
really?
Yeah, I'll say that. Hockey players are mature. Hot take.
I would agree.
Yeah. Not great for the game, not great for the players, great for social media. I don't really know if there's much of a more deep take I can give than that.
All right. Well, then, Kyle, I'll move on to you. Same questions to you, but I also want to throw on the Pistons seem to, and I mean, they've had this reputation for a while of being this gritty, physical, tough team. The bad boy Pistons of the 2000s were real. That was, or in late 90s, that was real. That was oh, don't fuck with us. Does this Pitness?
Well, the real bad boy Pistons were the 80s.
Yes.
Yeah.
Does this Pistons team, does it seem like a successful strategy long-term for them to try to tap back into that grit that seems to follow the identity of Detroit sports?
Detroit and their grit.
Yeah.
They just love grit.
They love being gritty.
Grit and loyalty.
Biting kneecaps. I'd be surprised if JB Bickerstaff doesn't come out here saying we're gonna bite. We were trying to bite kneecaps.
JB Bickerstaff would not. I wouldn't be surprised if it came out that he was a cannibal in his early 20s.
I could see it.
He
seems like a guy who would dabble.
I don't know. Yeah, no, nothing.
I was thinking
him.
mid to late 20s.
If I had to pick an NBA coach
that happened to be a cannibal at
in their
one point,
early to mid 20s, I think it would be JB Bickerstaff.
I think JJ Redick is the most likely to do those fitness morning routines that you see on TikTok, like getting up at 3:43 and rubbing a banana on your face. That feels like a JJ Redick thing. Not at all related to the current conversation, but I just felt like...
No.
I think we can discuss that JJ Redick is the NBA coach that is most likely to have soy milk in his fridge.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's not most likely, it's a guarantee.
It's like
I put the house down on it right now.
I want to say that it would be Joe Mazzulla, but Joe Mazzulla wouldn't do that. I just don't like Joe Mazzulla.
Joe Mazzulla is he's too contrarian.
I think he just eats eggs, just raw.
Yeah.
Did you see the response Joe Mazzulla's response, the Celtics got asked, like, if they were to make this season into a movie, who would you want to play you? Did you see Joe Mazzulla's response to that?
I did not.
It was
No.
literally
Hold on,
deadpan to the reporter. To the reporter, he went, anybody who spends any second on and any effort into making this thing is insane. No one should put any effort into playing me. I'm like,
It's a hypothetical, Joe.
dude,
Have you no whimsy?
has no whimsy, no childlike wonder, no dreams and aspirations beyond the pale of the mortal realm. Just dude is so, like, I love a guy who's locked in on basketball, right?
Regardless,
Joe Mazzulla needs to get a hobby.
Tim Meadows would be great.
You should tell Joe.
Okay.
He should have given that answer.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Kyle, back to the Pistons.
Yeah, somehow this is going to be a Pistons answer. I agree with Cam. I think for the game of basketball, it's not good. Especially, like, literally in my notes, I'm like, I'm glad that it's not like hockey, because it just dulls it. Because now it's like you watch a hockey game, it's like, oh, cool, they're fighting again. I'm going to scroll on Twitter now. Like, it's not fun anymore. For the NBA, since it's so rare, I think it's good for ratings for like a week. Because now it's like, oh, we got to tune into the Pistons. We got to tune into the Timberwolves, see if they fight anybody again. We know they're not, but it's gonna draw interest for a little bit, and then it's gonna fall off because like, it's not fun. For the players that are, or for the consumers of the game that watch it that way.
Consumers watch a Timberwolves game, they'll be intrigued by
I think they would enjoy it.
Prospect of 8th overall pick Rob Dillingham, and maybe be sucked in for the rest of their lives.
I think for the Timberwolves specifically, it would work really well. But for the rest of the teams in the league, like the Pistons, ew. For the Pistons themselves,
I still like the
obviously,
Pistons.
yeah. I'm a little frustrated with them right now, but in general, it's a team that I don't mind rooting for because they have a lot of cool guys on their team. Other than Isaiah Stewart, I fucking hate that guy right now.
Tried to save a baby on the court one time.
He definitely was not charging after LeBron. He was
tried
trying to save the baby that ran onto the court.
How can you not love and respect him?
Yeah. Look, he's a physical player. All those guards were trying to stop him from saving that baby. But to get back to the actual Pistons, I think since it became a thing in like the late 80s for them, they turned into the bad boys. Since that's kind of in their culture now, I think it's gonna be hard for them to separate that. It's just everybody kind of associates it like as you were growing up. Oh, it's the bad boy Pistons. Like they're gonna be physical. They're gonna be gritty. Like they're gonna play basketball a little bit different. There was a quote I saw today where it was like every team needs a different way to win. Like you can't all win the same because like everybody tried to replicate what the Warriors were doing, where they were shooting up threes at a high efficiency, and not granted. Teams have still won in this new 3-point era, but they were trying to replicate it right away, and they can't do it because you can't just replicate success. You have to come up with your own version of it. And I think the Pistons are trying to do that. I just don't think it's succeeding at a high level because, I mean, granted, if we even ignore last year, where they were one of the worst teams in NBA history ever, they haven't been good. They haven't been great. They've made these kind of like bubble playoff appearances throughout the 2000s, but after like 2004 in that championship, they weren't really threats in the East. And it's been that way for almost 20 years now. So I think it's hard to separate that identity for the Pistons, but I think that it's something that they should attempt to do and try and release this enforcement demon that is currently plaguing their culture. The one thing, if we want to talk about the fight specifically, I would like to mention that I want to hold the refs a little bit accountable in this specific situation because Chris Fitch said it too. And if you watch prior to the fight, things were boiling over. And I feel like in general, this is something that the NBA should address, is like, obviously tensions get high. It's a competitive game. We're in March. We're almost in April. And these games matter. Straight up, like this was a impactful game for the Timberwolves because it's going to help us through the rest of this week and next week
pushed them
for playoff seeding.
To the 7th seed. This game
Yes.
pushed them to the 7th seed.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and it opens the door for us to potentially get to the 5th seed by the end of this week. If we lost that game, we wouldn't have had a chance to get to the 5th seed, maybe at all. So it's a very important game. So I understand the tensions and the intensity and the emotions that go into the game at this point in time. But you knew, like everybody could tell. Ryan, you could tell watching in New York that the tension was palpable. It was going to explode any second. It was, again, it wasn't this huge major like flagrant foul on Naz Reid. It was a pretty hard foul on him.
It was a common foul.
Yeah, it was a common foul.
He got him across the arm on a layup attempt. I mean, that happens how many times
all the time.
Every game.
Exactly.
Yeah, but after they were already chippy with Dante and
there were multiple instances prior to that explosion that happened where the refs could have done something. They could have said, "Hey, hold on. Like, take it down a notch. Give them a warning. Give them something. Blow your whistle. Straight up, just blow your whistle. Call the foul." They didn't do it. They didn't do it prior to that point, which led things to escalate, which led things to blow up and get worse. So, the one thing that I know is the best way to de-escalate is to prevent it from escalating.
Thank you, HR.
Yes, you're welcome.
HR coded.
So, yeah, I know.
Human resources is looking at.
So something I want the NBA to at least look into is finding a way for the refs to actually control that a little bit more and say like, hey, like this, even though it's not this huge flagrant foul or a huge aggravating foul, those little chippy things that start to build up, they should be able to say, okay, hold on, like we need to take this down a notch, because that way talk about fan safety, talk about player safety, because if you can help eliminate the potential for some of those situations, I think would be beneficial for the league. It would be beneficial for the refs because then they don't have to, they'll be the bad guy in that moment for, slowing the game down for a second, but it's worth it for the fans. It's worth it for the players. It's worth it in general for the game to take that step back and say, okay, let's calm things down. That's my take. That's what I think.
Honestly, I blame the Timberwolves broadcast booth a little bit. I know your work is harder than it seems, nothing but respect for you. But when you've got Isaiah Stewart grabbing Dante DiVincenzo's meat, I need to get a close-up. I need to get a slow-mo. I need to see how much what was grabbed. I need to see if there's some sort of an outline so we can get idea.
Was it just tip? Was it full shaft?
Yeah.
I need to know. Was it just a little cup of the balls?
There are specifics that the broadcast booth could have revealed for the audience, but they chose not to. And frankly, it baffles me.
It's a transparency issue at that point.
Yes.
There was so much time in between the fight and the resume of play where they could have shown that angle specifically.
They could have zoomed in. They could have had it slow-mo. We need to see what was going on down there.
You could have gotten that one dude from like CNN election night with the board to just like try and outline exactly where Dante's dick and balls were and how deep into Isaiah Stewart's hand they ended up.
I'm going to send this back to Anderson Cooper. Hey, Anderson, what do you think about Dante over here?
Crazy. Those are both all of those takes. Very well-reasoned and smart analysis. I want to throw this out here. I think the fight was bad because it bled into the fan section. That's a severe safety issue. You can't have
a cameraman.
Yeah, poor cameraman.
A little kid almost got like caught in the middle, and then A-Rod came over and gave him a Naz Reid jersey. What a move by A-Rod, by the way.
Shout out my owner.
Shout out.
He owns you?
Yes.
Lucky.
That's illegal. That's illegal now. Slavery is outlawed.
13th Amendment.
14th, yeah.
Whatever. Wait, which amendment is it?
I believe it's the 14th Amendment.
Fuck. No, can we delete this whole episode? Shit.
No, we're 30 minutes in. We can't. It's too late now.
Oh no, I am right. It is the 14th Amendment.
Fuck, we're going to have to delete the whole episode.
Nope. You just don't know history.
Yeah, what'd you get on the A-push exam?
True. What did you get on the A-push exam? Did you take A-push?
I think I got a 4.
I think I got a 5.
I'd have to look.
I'm sorry for not remembering which amendment freed slavery.
Freed slavery?
Hey, at least you're wearing your Luffy Palestine
True.
crew neck. It helps balance
out modern activism. But I do want to say, I think the chippiness, between the Pistons and the Timberwolves, for as long as these like core players are there, there is genuine dislike at minimum. These teams do not like each other. And I think that is good for the league.
Yes.
We
I
need
think
more rivalries.
A chief problem, I mean, people were talking about it all through the end of the 2010s, was that none of the players, like none of the stars, dislike each other. LeBron and Steph in the finals, they were still buddy. Like in the moment, of course, they're playing against each other. They both want to win, but LeBron doesn't hate Steph. Dante DiVincenzo fucking hates Isaiah Stewart, and I think that's good for the game of basketball. I think it's a bit of a correction. What we see is a bit of a correction from the trend that was, player solidarity. And from a business angle, you can still have player solidarity and supporting the players while also saying, when you step on a basketball court, I fucking hate your guts and I want to see you lose. And I think that gets spearheaded, especially from this Timberwolves team, by Anthony Edwards. Because, I mean, we all know who's Anthony Edwards' favorite player. It's KD.
KD.
And he bitched KD in that series last year. He was talking all that shit, all that smack to his face, and then he hit the DMX little gif. You don't do that if you don't have a little bit in you of man, I'm just better. I think that's good. I think the league should try to foster some of these attitudes of a little bit of discontentment between the teams.
Yeah, I think they have been doing that a bit with Bucks Pacers. Those games always get physical. They've been prioritizing those matchups on national TV.
And prior to the Luka trade, it was the Mavs and the Suns always hated each other. I thought that was a good rivalry. One that I'm excited to see going forward is Houston and Detroit because of Jalen Green and Cade, because they've grown up playing against each other.
Oh, true, the Thompsons.
Yeah, and the Thompsons. Yeah, I think that's going to be a good rivalry. Especially for this East-West kind of thing.
Yeah.
But also that Jalen Green dunk on Cade, or was that this year or last year? We're just absolutely postered him.
I believe it was this year.
Yeah, that was early this year. I think that's going to be a fun one going forward.
This all comes around too. I feel like there's always been a little bit of it, but with what's probably going to be within the next couple of years, the expansion of the NBA, right? You're probably going to have a team back in Seattle. You might need to move a team from the West to the East. A Minnesota Timberwolves to the East in a division with Milwaukee, Detroit, and the Bulls, and just making that Midwest, basically just keeping it as the same region as the NFL NFC North is.
Yeah.
Of just these, with the new animosity between the Wolves and the Pistons. As a Wolves fan, I already don't like the Bulls because they just seem to beat us every time.
Every time.
Kobe White turns into Jesus when playing against us.
Kobe White
and if you throw the Pacers in there.
He's also very...
he is. Yeah.
But
even if you throw the Pacers in that division, I feel like that's something that we always play poorly against the Pacers.
Be top another number.
Yeah.
I feel like the NBA is kind of the only major sports league in America that doesn't have that Midwest rivalry. Because
kind of,
the core Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois, Michigan kind of thing. Because the NFL, of course, it's the NFC North. The MLB, it's not so much in the division, but we don't like the White Sox. We don't like the Tigers. I don't like the Brewers.
I don't like any of them because they're baseball teams, and that sport is boring to watch. IMO.
I think that'd be something we could see if the NBA really wants to lean into trying to build up chippy games more often. Get more consistent rivalries. Because it's also tough when the rivalries are across conference, and it's I can only play you twice a year.
Yeah. Imagine if we played the Pistons, the Bucks, and the Bulls 4 times a year.
It'd be great because we'd win more games. Because now we have to play the
True.
We'd have to play the Thunder, the Nuggets, fucking great teams.
Well, the Blazers and the Jazz, S teams.
True.
So,
but to be fair, rivalry-wise, we do bitch the Nuggets. So we do own them as a franchise.
And I don't like OKC.
Fair point.
Do we want to make predictions on the suspensions or no?
Sure. Yeah.
Because I have a couple. I have a couple guesses.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want to lead off, Kyle?
No, should we just go down the line?
Sure. Sure. Should I rip?
All right, Nas Reed.
One max. If he gets more than one, I'm going to be pissed.
I think he gets 2. No, he gets 1 game. Dante gets 2. Dante?
Yeah, I was saying Dante 2. I say like 2 to 3 because I could reasonably see a 3, but I think the argument can be made like for that last shove that he did, it was more as a peacekeeper move to get Isaiah Stewart off of Nas Reed. Well, but he did shove a lot of people, and he did kind of start it.
What's Dante's? I mean, he's always been kind of like a chippy guy, but
I don't think he's ever gotten
I'm not sure he's gotten like truly suspended for conflict before, because that could affect. I think Nas Reed 1 game. I think they're also going to be a little more judicious with the suspensions coming out because there are basically 8 games left in the season, and right when games start to matter the most, the league doesn't want to take out the most critical players for long periods of time, and Nas Reed is the reigning 6th man of the year. So,
agreed. Just looking up Dante DiVincenzo, he has not been suspended in his career, at least according to his Wikipedia page.
That is
2
going
games.
to change. I don't think either of the coaches serve suspensions.
I think they get fined.
Yeah.
And then
Marcus Sasser, Ron Holland, and Isaiah Stewart for the Pistons.
I think
Stewart gets the most of the 3.
Yes. I was going to say, I have a fun one for Stewart. I think Ron Holland gets exactly what Dante gets, because I think they had like an equal contribution. So I feel like if Dante gets 2, Ron gets 2. If Dante gets 1, Ron gets 1. Whatever it is, I think they get the same amount. I think Sasser maybe gets 1. I don't know if he will. I think he might just get fined.
I think he could get away with
kind of in there, but and it was like, hey, you got ejected for a reason. But for Isaiah Stewart, it's so late in the season that they probably won't do it, but I feel like they need to Draymond Green him and say, you need to go through rehab. You need to show us that you're a better man after this one, because he's been suspended already 3 times in his career, and his career started in 2020. And he's already been suspended this season because of 6 flagrant points. So he had a 1-game suspension there. And then in general, he was like the enforcer for LeBron. He was the enforcer last year.
You forget he did try to save that baby.
He also got arrested. Yeah, he did try to save the baby. He also got arrested for assaulting Drew Eubanks.
Oh yeah, he did.
Yeah, that was in 2024. That was last year.
Yeah. I don't know if they'll do that right now at the end of the season.
I don't think they will.
Them giving him 3 to 5 games, but off season, they're definitely going to make him do something behind the scenes.
Yes, absolutely.
Or if not the NBA, for sure the Pistons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because it's not okay.
Yeah, I don't think they'll come down as publicly as they did on Draymond. Well, it's kind of a 2-edged sword, because Draymond had a much longer history of doing it, but also he was such a critical member of such a critical franchise in the league at that point. Because even at that point, it was the end of that core, but it was still a relevant core. Like, they were still playing meaningful games. They weren't dominant in the West, but they were still good, and they were still contenders. Whereas Isaiah Stewart does not have the
same pull.
Sort of, the gravity of character and pedigree that Draymond Green does. So I could see them maybe trying to take Draymond Green as an example here. Maybe put in the off season, like Cameron said, put him in a program.
I could see that.
And then have him on a short leash next year. Like the next time you pull this kind of thing, and especially if it like spills into the fans again, it's 10 games. It's 15 games. Something like that.
I was like, because if I remember correctly, the Draymond Green was like suspended indefinitely until you show us that you can be better, which I think ended up being like 10 to 12 games.
Should have been more, but
it probably should have been more. But that's where it's like, again, you look at the severity of it. I think it wouldn't hurt to do that. It just hurts right now. Like it would help him as a player and as a man, but it wouldn't help the Pistons right now. And it would be like the league giving basically the Pistons a fuck you right at the end of the season. So my guess was 5 realistically for him.
Mm-hmm. I could see them just saying, how many more games do you have in the regular season?
I think there's only like 7 or 8 for the Pistons, somewhere in there.
So like you can come back game 1 or game 2 of the playoffs.
Yeah.
But you're sitting out the rest of the regular season. Could be.
Or if anything, I could also see him doing like hey, you have to sit game 1 of your playoff series, as long as they get like the 6. Or even if they're like the play-in, it's like you got to sit for the play-in game. And then if you win, then it's like, okay, whatever. It could be something like that.
Yeah. But the league's going to want to, especially because it's spilled into the stands, the league's going to want to bring the hammer down.
Yeah. And I don't blame them.
Can't blame them. Let's go ahead and move on from the NBA. Let's head over to the NFL. The NFL, less so than the NBA. The NBA is a league of stars. It's all about the star players. The NFL can be the same way. I mean, having elite players at certain positions makes your team not only more marketable, but also just better. Look at what Justin Jefferson did for the Minnesota Vikings. But
God, I love you.
There are also plenty of role players in the NFL. So we're going to go ahead and test my lovely co-host's knowledge of those players. This is a classic NFL Who He Play For. I will give you guys the name of an NFL offensive skill position player. All of these are offensive skill position players. I will count down from 3, and you guys will name the team. But all of these players are currently post-free agency as of March 31st, 2025, currently rostered on NFL teams. They are all active players, and they are all offensive players. Okay? Any questions about how this is going to work?
Yes. Am I allowed to say that I'm not going to do very good at this, I think? But still, get all the points?
It's all about the fun. Wait.
Points. Cameron, you can say that, but you gotta have some belief in yourself. I believe in you. If you don't believe in yourself, believe in the me that believes in you.
I can never
This is
who you play for.
This is gonna be, I think, tough. I think this is gonna be tough. I don't think you guys are gonna get all of these. There are 5 players, and then I have a bonus player in case we need to break a tie.
A Bo Nix player. He plays for the Broncos.
Shit. Well, there goes my first one.
Quick on the draw. I respect that.
All right. Are we ready to begin? Let us begin. The first player who he played for. Jacoby Myers. 3, 2, 1.
Las Vegas Raiders.
Jags.
He is the wide receiver 1 for the Las Vegas Raiders.
Oh, that's right.
How bum of a franchise do you have to be for Jacoby Myers to be your wide receiver 1?
Yeah, I forgot about that. I wanted to go Pats because I knew he was there forever. I just didn't remember if they still had him
forever. But then he went to the Las Vegas Raiders.
Indeed.
Why did I think he went to the Jags?
Unsure. Thinking Christian Kirk, maybe.
Maybe.
I think you'll have to see some sort of sleep therapist to really determine why you went there.
Deep-seated issues.
Yeah.
Do you know of any that I could reach out to? Because I should get on top of that before the end of this game.
I don't know, but if you want to go to sleep, I can watch you.
No, Cameron, don't. I already do. It's not that interesting. Don't waste your time.
Okay, wait, hold on. What do you mean?
Right? What do you mean? What do I mean? I thought I was very clear.
Do you hide out with the big guys?
Kyle, okay, you should get to a general practitioner. You might have sleep apnea.
Yeah.
Oh no, I know that. Yeah. I was well aware
Yeah,
of that.
you're
I'm
a
toughing it out.
snorer. You're a snorer for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, kicks up usually like
ladies?
3 a.m. ish. So I don't know if it's like a point in your sleep cycle, but
dude, you don't watch me. It actually kicks up at like 1:30.
Dude, you're asleep. How do you know?
I can tell.
Would you rather trust the dude who's asleep or the one who's watching him sleep on camera?
No, I would rather trust the person that actually slept in the same room as me for a year in college and has complained about my snoring.
And has also gotten it on camera every single night.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah, camera.
All right. Let's go ahead. Let's move on to number
Ryan
2.
Is completely right. You're wrong. I mean, who he play for? Let's get it. Yeah.
Who he play for? Number 2, Chase Brown. 3,
Okay.
2, 1.
Cleveland
The Cincinnati
Brown.
Bengals.
He is a Cincinnati Bengal.
Yeah,
he is their
he was
starting
RB1
running back.
Yeah.
I just heard the name Brown, and then I was like,
Cleveland
Brown from Family Guy is a character in the football team.
Also a character from the Cleveland Show.
How'd that theme song go?
Kyle, sing it.
I'm not singing it. I'm not actually singing it because I only know the first bar. It's like,
Kyle,
my
can
name
you
is
freestyle for us? Kyle,
Wait,
no,
give me the first
Kyle,
bar.
rap right now.
No,
give me the first bar.
no.
I can go off of that. I don't remember how it starts.
I remember.
My name is Cleveland Brown,
and I am here to see.
Nope. What?
With my whole family. Isn't it like that?
I think, yeah.
You got the beginning and
Wait.
end of the second line correct.
We got to cut this. We're going to get copyrighted.
No, we're not. Fox isn't copywriting the fucking Cleveland Show. Nobody watched it in the first place.
Look, all I'm saying,
liar,
to our viewers at home, if you don't actually hear that the last like 2 minutes there, I'm sorry.
Keeping it in the edit. Fuck, we do it live. All right, on to number 3. You've got truly, I believe, a GOAT in the all-time name team. We've got Olamide Zaccheaus.
Oh fuck.
3, 2, 1.
New York Giants.
Is he a Denver Bronco?
He's a Chicago Bear.
Oh, mother cracker shit.
Yeah, that's right.
He's wide receiver 3 for the Chicago.
Ass.
Fuck.
Shit, fuck.
The unison. Fuck. That was too good.
I made a joke about where he went, and I just didn't remember.
That was too good. All right, so it's 1-1 after 3. Tie game. Number 4, we've got another name that I know you know. It is Marquez Valdez-Scantling. 3, 2, 1.
Is he a Green Bay Packer?
He is the wide receiver 3 for the Seattle Seahawks.
Oh, that's right. That is where he went. I thought he went back to Green Bay.
No, he was on the Jets for a little bit. I think. Or no, that was Alan Lazard. Alan Lazard was
somewhere.
Was he on?
I don't think MVS went to the Jets. I don't recall. I just know.
How the hell do you spell his first name?
Maruuez, you racist fuck.
Okay, there it is.
Camera's right again.
Shout out Pro Football Reference. Holy crap.
My name is Cleveland.
He was on 2 teams in 2024. He was in Buffalo.
He was a Saint. I know that.
Oh, so then, yeah, he was.
He ever a Jet?
No, he was not.
It was just Alan Lazard.
Yeah, so he was in Green Bay until 2021. He was in Kansas City from 2022 to 2023. And then in 2024, he signed with Buffalo and I believe was traded to the Saints.
Shit-ass
he played,
because
he played 6 games for the Bills. Yeah.
The Saints needed it because they lost Rashid Shaheed.
Yep, that's right.
Another GOAT name.
Rashid Shaheed lost Michael Thomas to being ass.
They haven't had Michael Thomas for fucking 5 years.
Well, yeah,
since 2019.
But he's still been on their roster some of those years.
Fucking slant,
he's still
man.
been active most of those years.
Yeah.
I never liked Michael Thomas.
Slant man.
I do want to say, just for lore, the first fantasy football league that I ever played in, Michael Thomas was my first overall pick.
I'm so sorry.
It was like in 2014.
Oh, well then that's actually a better pick. All right, let's go ahead. Number 5, still tied 2-2 or 1-1. This is the last before the bonus. We have Andre Yosivas.
1-32.
Okay.
All right.
Andre
I was going to say, I mean this with the utmost respect. Who?
3, 2, 1.
You are a Tampa Bay Buccaneer.
I was going to say a 49er.
Nope. I dipped back to the Bengals. Well, he is wide receiver 3.
What? You goddamn cracker bitch.
Yeah.
He's wide receiver 3 for the Cincinnati Bengals.
That was sneaky and dirty and lame and mean and...
Yes.
All right, give us the Bo Nix player to
break
the tie.
The Bo Nix player. This player is technically an offensive player, but you could absolutely draft him in fantasy last year. This is former Minnesota Viking draft pick, Emir Smith-Marset. You get the points just for naming what team he's on, and then I'll give you another bonus point if you can name his primary position for the team. 3, 2, 1.
He played for the Carolina Panthers, and he was primarily a kick returner.
I was going to say the Raiders, and he was a punt returner.
Shit. Because you're both wrong and you're both right.
Really?
He currently plays for the Giants. He is wide receiver 7 on their depth chart.
So he's the special teams.
Except he is their starting punt returner and kick returner.
Okay.
I'm going to give it to Cameron.
Fuck.
Because
I said it
Emir Smith-Marset never played for the Raiders, but he did play for the Panthers.
Yes! Fuck your...
Damn.
I had no idea.
Damn, that's tough. That's tough.
Emir Smith-Marset was a Panther before Adam Thielen left. He was brought on because he went to Chicago first, then the Panthers, and then he was he was a little bit of a journeyman, and then he was on the Giants last year as their kick and punt return specialist.
Yeah.
So this one, by the slimmest of margins, goes to Cameron.
Way to go.
It's tough.
Kyle beating me in trivia yet? Other than
One day.
College basketball?
Well, okay. Then yes, I have beaten you in trivia. Other than the one time that I beat you.
Has Kyle beaten Cameron other than all the times he's beaten Cameron? No.
Has Kyle beaten Cameron in NFL or NBA trivia? Or NBA basketball 1-on-1?
Okay. You're just being mean now. You're picking things that you know aren't true.
Yeah. No picking.
Yeah, I wonder why.
So that was NFL, who he played for. But all of these guys were active players. They all contribute in some way, shape, or form, even if it's just by being on the field to their NFL rosters. We're going to talk about a guy who not only doesn't contribute, actively makes everything he touches worse. Recently this week, owner of the Cleveland Browns, Jimmy Haslam, came out in a press conference and said that the Deshaun Watson deal was, quote unquote, a swing and a miss. Boy, Kyle, I want to start with you. What is your response to Mr. Haslam's statement? And where does this Deshaun Watson trade rank on the all-time tier list of shitty free agency moves?
Yeah. Swing and a miss is arguably an understatement. It's like...
Arguably.
It's like,
understatement.
Arguably is arguably an understatement.
Yeah, it's definitely an understatement. It's like he was playing baseball, and he was getting, it was like Shohei was pitching at him, and then he put on a blindfold, and then he forgot to pick up the bat, and then he just like swung with his hands, and then the baseball like went through his hand. That's how bad it was. Like he should be like going into surgery right now for how bad this trade was. At the end of the day, you can't predict that he would tear his Achilles twice in a row like that and then also like his ACL the
Like,
season
karma's a
before.
bitch.
Karma is a bitch. You can't predict that as the owner. It is impossible. So not to give him grace, because Deshaun Watson deserves no grace ever. I want that man to rot. So I feel like the writing was on the wall prior to the trade. Like, yeah, everything had come out about Deshaun's allegations prior to this trade happening. So why did you think it was a good idea to trade for him, mortgage your future, straight up mortgage your future for this guy, and pay him almost $300 million? Because at the end of the day, like, if he's willing to sexually assault more than 25 women, he's probably going to try and scam you out of all your money that you're going to give him. So even if he was available and he did want to play, or had the ability to play, he wasn't good when his downs as a Cleveland Brown sucked. Just straight up, they were bad. He doesn't want to contribute to winning football because you're giving him, it's what, a $250 million, like, almost fully guaranteed contract. Like, if someone handed me that to play for the Cleveland Browns, I think I probably would have played about the exact same way Deshaun did, and I would have actually been trying to play good football. Deshaun Watson did not actually have to play good football to earn that money. So, like, that's just, it's common sense, I feel like, to not trade for this predator, to not give him all of that money, and then expect him to show up at a high level each and every day. Like, again, understatement to swing and a miss.
There's a reason that fully guaranteed contracts in the NFL are not a thing. This is why.
I mean, look at Kirk Cousins. He got what, like $100 million fully guaranteed, and then did not do well.
Mm-hmm. And he's going to be a Atlanta Falcon until at least after the draft, until some team needs him. Cameron, I want to throw the same question your way.
I would like to give a quick congratulations to Deshaun Watson for getting engaged recently. That did happen. And I would like to yeah, I mean, I think it would be really funny if he was like forever alone and like kind of became a degenerate. I think that would be really funny.
He is one.
He already is.
Leroy Bickerstaff, I forgot. Shout out Leroy Bickerstaff. Yeah, also shout out Jimmy Haslam for finally saying a correct statement for the first time in his life, arguably. Making a good decision with his brain and using his mouth and his vocal cords and his brain cells to get that out into the world. Congratulations. You did it. Big steps. I think one day you could probably be an owner of an NFL team.
Maybe give him an XFL team, see how that works out first.
Yeah, because I will not put the Browns in the tier of NFL teams.
No.
Not at this moment.
Deshaun Watson sucks. Bad person, bad player. He's ass every single step of the way. I don't like him at all. If you do like him at all, I think you need to check your character and also maybe how you evaluate criminal cases. It's, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I like to believe I have morals. Deshaun Watson is the antithesis of morals in the NFL. So, yeah.
One of the
worst trades of all time.
Yeah, I want to go through. I have it pulled up here. As a part of the trade, Houston received 3 first-round picks along with a myriad of other picks in compensation for Deshaun Watson. I want to tell you what happened with each of those first-round picks. The 2022 first-round pick acquired by Houston, they traded with Philadelphia, traded back with Philadelphia. Philadelphia ended up taking at that spot C.J. Gardner-Johnson.
Pretty good player.
Pretty good player. The Houston with the trade back ended up taking an O-lineman, Kenyon Green. Didn't play out the same, but still. That same draft class with a 4th round pick they got from Cleveland, they drafted Dameon Pierce, a good, solid running back for them. Yeah.
Really solid.
With their 2023 first round pick, Houston then traded that pick to Arizona for the 3rd overall pick. which is when they took Will Anderson Jr.
CJ Stroud back to back.
Yeah, they took CJ Stroud at 2 and Will Anderson at 3. Will Anderson
players.
looks really good. He looks very solid for them. And then their 2024 first-round pick was traded to the Minnesota Vikings in return for a haul of picks that have yet to be used. They did use some of the picks they got in that haul to then go ahead and get Stephon Diggs from the Buffalo Bills. But the Vikings turned that pick into Dallas Turner.
Pretty good player.
Pretty good player. So for Deshaun Watson,
the Browns missed
you
out
lost
on all that.
Yes.
They could have had either CJ Stroud or Will Anderson, and they just don't.
Mm-hmm. You know who else they could have had with Cleveland's 3rd round pick in 2023? Tank Dell.
Yeah.
Good player.
Really good player.
This is why
Get well soon,
sometimes
buddy.
truly,
I call him buddy. I feel like
he's a bud.
Yeah.
Friend of the pod.
I named
friend
my
of the
fantasy
pod.
team after him. He's a buddy.
Absolutely friend of the pod. Not because he knows the podcast exists, but
we just like him that much.
We got respect for him.
Yeah. But for a QB who at the time, remember, had not played football in a year and a half-ish, because he sat out a year and then he had the allegations
Suspension.
and whatnot. They gave up all of those good players. Those are all starting caliber players that they gave up for a guy who is currently just eating cap space when your starting quarterback is probably going to be what?
Is it did they trade for Kenny Pickett? Is that who it was? Because they traded DTR.
Yes.
Yeah, they did trade DTR for Kenny Pickett in a blockbuster deal.
Yeah. I think that's their only other
otherwise-
quarterback on the roster right now.
Otherwise, it's what?
Yeah, they lost.
Looking at
They
Shador?
lost fucking.
Yeah. They're not in the Aaron Rodgers sweepstakes.
Yeah, I can see them landing Shador, but
It just depends. Yeah,
Yeah.
They could very well be like, we want to have the most dominant D-line ever, and we're going to take Abdul Carter. And no one would blame them for that pick.
yeah,
Myles Garrett and Abdul
No.
Carter is a wild combo. But
Abdul Carter is him, but like the Browns
Especially-
just
They kinda need.
something, especially after Jerry Jeudy broke out last season.
you know what I saw could be a move for the Browns? Wait until after the draft. Send a 6th-round pick to Atlanta for Kirk Cousins. Him
could see
and
that.
Kevin Stefanski have familiarity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That could be
It makes
the
sense for
move
both
for
sides.
Kirk.
Because it offloads. I just don't know if they have the money for it.
The money situation, because Deshaun is getting paid so much, Atlanta would have to like keep most of that Kirk contract, and I don't think they
Yeah.
would for a 6th-round pick.
Yeah, they
They'd
might
have to
they
sweeten
might
it.
have to send more consideration than that. But Atlanta doesn't want Kirk on the roster.
Yeah,
They want to send a message that
Yeah.
our guy is Michael Penis.
and then just like I guess tank for Arch Manning.
Truly.
Yeah.
Yeah, just I don't know. The Browns made such a bad decision letting go of Baker Mayfield, and
Yeah, that's
Truly.
the other thing. All of
You
this,
had a great
when you
quarterback on
had
your
a
roster.
QB on the roster, he had
who you
just
drafted
played
first overall.
Yes, who had
Mhm.
just played through a significant shoulder injury to try to get you into the playoffs, and you toss him aside for a so-and-so adult because you wanted an adult in the room. It's
An
like
adult in the room, yeah.
Baker Mayfield is now balling down in Tampa Bay.
Baker Mayfield, when he has a management that supports him, look at what he can do. Play
He's a
some
top
damn
10
good
quarterback.
football. Yeah.
Yeah, yet more proof that Cleveland should be relegated to the Arena Football League. They should be playing in mall rotundas around the country, not
That's
real
generous.
Let's get the
NFL.
St. Louis Battlehawks up.
True. Give me the St. Louis Battlehawks. Give me the Arlington Renegades. Give us another Texas team.
No.
Okay, fair enough. We don't need more
Yeah,
Texas
I'm
teams.
gonna be the final judgment on that one.
It's not going to Roger. It's not a decision for Mr. Goodell.
No.
That's a Cameron Gertensen call right there.
Well, yeah, we brought it up on the podcast, so I'm gonna decide on the podcast.
True. Fair enough.
And
And
if
of
the
course,
NFL does it,
since we
they got
consult,
to pay our services fee.
yeah.
Yes.
Again, it all comes back. This venture purely for us here at Bisportuals, it's all about money.
Yeah,
We do this
We need it so
purely
bad.
for the income. Yeah.
Actually, since the last episode, the NFL owes us $10,000 more than they did a week ago, just because that interest keeps on stacking, and
Clock's ticking.
clock is ticking.
Not only is the clock ticking on the interest that they owe, but it's also counting down. What's it counting down to? It's counting down to everybody's favorite segment. It's Cameron's album of the week. Cameron, what have you got for us this week?
I got one of my favorite albums. I was just looking through my Last FM stats, which I've been tracking since the start of 2021. I already talked about my most listened to album of all time on this segment, Pink Moon by Nick Drake. Now I'm going to talk about my second most listened to album of all time, that being Hypochondriac by Breakins. So Breakins is an artist. He's 23 years old. He's from Columbus, Ohio. And just like many of us in the Bisportuals space, he's a bisexual. Shout out Breakins for that. He is probably also a Bisportual. I can imagine he's a Cavs fan. He has made some basketball references in his music. Yeah, he's 23. He grew up in Columbus. He graduated high school a year early. He only took 3 years in high school. Went to the Ohio State University at age 17. But dropped
That's
out
the one
after...
thing I got to interrupt. Boo.
True, Boo Buckeyes.
Well, yeah. Buckeye, it's a school for losers, am I right? Which is why he dropped out after only 2 weeks of being there, because he's not a loser. He then made a song about it called Drop Out, released it in 2019. Dropped out, I was 17. I'm butchering it, but it's pretty good. That's how I discovered him. It was on like a Spotify auto-made like anti-pop or hyper-pop playlist or something. I was working as a delivery driver for a summer job in 2020. I heard that on a playlist and I was like, fuck, this guy kind of rocks. And then I listened to the whole album that song was on. It was his album Punk 2, which came out at the beginning of 2020. And I was like, fuck, this guy's got something. And then since then, he has become my third most listened to artist of all time. And one of my favorites. Yeah. So he dropped out of Ohio State University, made that song Drop Out, got a Black Bear remix with that. Honestly, I like the original a lot more. Prior to this album, Punk 2 came out at the beginning of 2020. This is what Dropout is on. He released 3 EPs. His first EP was called Fifth Enigma, and then his second was called Nervosa. Finally, Hypnagogia was his third and final EP that he released before going into his studio albums. I think that one's pretty good. I haven't really explored the other ones too much, but I mean, they're not bad. Don't live up to his other stuff. Yeah, but after taking a hiatus from public appearance, he sort of blew up on the internet. He was very active in internet spaces. He kind of went dark in 2021, 2022, until he started the rollout for this album, Hypochondriac. He released a few singles, but this album finally came out on December 2nd, 2022. And it is just incredible. It's a mix of like hyper pop. You got fucking ballads in there. You've got a lot of Midwest emo influences. You got some emo rap influences. It's crazy how big of a palette Breakins brings into his own sound, because he absolutely has a distinct sound with his guitar playing and the way he remixes that into these awesome glitch pop tracks. And not to mention his voice, which is just incredible. But this project, Hypochondriac, as I said, my second most listened to album of all time, it just flows together from start to end. Every track flows together. It's so cohesive just as an album. And the songs that were designed to transition into each other were actually put in the right order, unlike what Playboi Carti could do. Like, there's a few songs on here that I don't think would stand out as much as individual tracks, but I think altogether this album is a 10 out of 10. It just gets better and better as it goes on. After this album came out, I swear for like 6 months, every night when I was getting ready for bed, I would just listen to CBD, Stung, Argyle, those 3 tracks in order. Kind of sing along and dance along. while I was getting ready for bed, even though they are kind of slower songs. But yeah, general themes of this album, even though, yeah, he did kind of grow up on the internet, blow up on the internet, this song is a lot about, or this album is a lot about, like, sort of how social media is like a drug. It's not great for your mental health. It can be addictive, just like any other drug. And just sort of warning about that. And for those who have followed Breakin' since the release of this album, he has basically done nothing following the tour. He released a song with Quadeca. I think he was featured on another song, but that's about it. He's not present anywhere on social media or online really at all. Probably living in the woods, Aaron Rodgers style, and one day he'll just come out with the most complex guitar line imaginable and somehow remix it into a glitch pop banger. Yeah, shout out a few songs. My favorite, I really like Intellectual Greed, great car screaming song. CBD is just super cool to listen to, like, just laying down in bed. It's got such a nice vibe. It's mixed so well. Argyle was one I linked onto immediately. Just, could you fuck off? I don't need your hand. It's electric. And then the final 3 tracks, just all, that's the emotional climax of the album. Deep Fake, just kind of anger, introvert. First half is sad, then you get these like spoken word segments with I don't know where he gets these samples from, whether it's from like a movie or a video game, but there are these recurring voices that show up throughout the album that help transition the tracks into each other. They get a big feature on Introvert, followed by a fun little glitchy beat rap section, and then Hypochondriac is just pure ballad to close off the album. Yeah, 10 out of 10 album to me. I can't really think of anything I have wrong with it if you're listening to it cohesively as an album, and I would highly recommend anyone check it out.
Yeah. Shout out Deep Fake.
Yeah, it's a
Shout out Deep Fake again.
Break-ins bloom to death.
Love
We are
the album.
the shadows.
We are. One of my favorite songs on here, Venus Flytrap, which is right off the top, or pretty early on in the album. Just has a really cool melody to it throughout the entire song. And the one thing that, like, when I listened to this for the first time and kind of going back to it again prior to this, it's hard to give him a genre. It's hard to say, like, oh yeah, he's a hyper pop artist or a glitch pop artist or whatever else you want to call him, because he just blends everything so well. Yeah,
as soon as
he is
came on,
Break-ins.
It's his sound, and there have been other people who sound like him, but they're just like, oh, you're a Break-ins clone, because even though he is that new of an artist, he just already has such a cemented sound.
Yes, so unique. So I highly recommend giving him a listen and listening at least to Hypochondriac, if not the rest of his discography, because he has some very great music.
Punk 2 is a lot more of a fun album. First 3 tracks are all very standalone singles that you can just bump.
Mm-hmm. There's one song, I had to pull it up, on the Hypnosia called First Ego. I love First Ego. So highly recommend that.
Well, can't get much more of a ringing endorsement than that. I too enjoyed the album. I don't have as deep a take. I like the songs I listened to.
Gotta listen to more.
I do. I gotta listen to more. That's on me. And with that, thank you all so much for listening to this episode of Bisportuals. We hope you have a wonderful Friday. If you're listening to this on release, we hope you have a wonderful weekend. If you're listening to it on the weekend, if you're listening to it on the week, we hope you have a wonderful week. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy days to hear us talk and ramble about sports. And we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 All right, Kyle. 3, 2, 1. Doing your mom. Doing your mom.